Hey, it's Lindsay, and welcome to an episode of the Daily Log Diaries. In this episode, I'm going to be finishing up the migration into my latest bullet journal setup. This was my previous upload, so if you're looking for a spread by spread setup video, I do have that, and I can link it in the cards if you want to check it out. But we're going to talk about how I'm getting on with this notebook, answer some questions as to why I switched and how I'm using it. I also have a new weekly spread that I've been favoring, so we'll do a little bit of a deep dive into that and set one up for the upcoming week. And then finally, I have a weekend getaway planned. We are going out for some hiking and we have an Airbnb, so I thought I'd take you along for that ride and then show you what my must-have stationery is for a weekend trip. After finishing my daily morning planner checking routine, I'm going to start updating a couple habit trackers. They are my adulting log, which you'll see here on the left, and my cycle tracker over here on the right. My adulting log is a must-have collection that I prefer to see at an annual view. So starting in January through December, I use this to track monthly cleaning tasks, quarterly cleaning tasks, and non-automated annual tasks such as paying my vehicle registration. The cycle tracker is a printable from Peanuts Planner Co. I believe the number is 104, and this is in pocket size, and I like seeing my cycle at an annual view as well. And this is where I track when I'm menstruating along with different symptoms, and I like the holistic view, which is why I'm bothering to backfill this information. While I'm working on getting those updated, let's address a couple of questions. One thing I got asked a lot is why I decided to leave the Hobonichi weeks, and I'm trying to step away from these really long breakup narratives every time I move notebooks, because the short answer is I felt like it and I wanted to do something different. I've been feeling a little bit stagnant or trapped in my Hobonichi weeks. It's an excellent planner, but this would have been my third year using it. And at this point, I think I know the best way to use that planner for my current needs. And once I hit that streamlined point, it loses some of the magic and I get bored with it quite quickly. So I'm sure if I hit a really stressful period in my life, I will run back to the Hobonichi weeks because I know it works for me. But what I'm looking for now is sort of that creative magic of, can I get my system to fit in a different notebook? How would I approach this? Trying a new monthly spread, weekly layouts, and that iterative approach that I get with the bullet journal, where each month I can do something drastically different if I choose to. Each day I can do something different. I can flip the page and have that fresh start, and I'm loving the creativity I am currently feeling in this notebook. I have used a pocket bullet journal before. I think I've got a couple videos. I'll create a playlist and I'll put that up in the cards if you're looking for more of my take on a pocket bullet journal. But the main difference between my previous attempts and this one is that I've changed my mindset on my habit trackers. So I'm looking at setting goals and tracking things a little bit more notebook to notebook versus being obsessed with that annual at a glance view. And last time I stepped away from the pocket bullet journal, it was mostly because I became enamored with my passport. So I'm really enjoying this simplistic bullet journal for now. Let's talk about my new weekly spreads. This is an experiment and it's surprisingly working out really well. We're looking at 2 weeks currently. This is last week, week 15. Here is my current week 16, and I need to set up for week 17 because I was trying a new spread. I didn't want to commit to setting up the rest of April in one go because I was very nervous that this was not going to be enough space, but it's actually working out fantastically. The best way to describe this spread is a rolling weekly or an Alistair Method. I have seen these all over the community for years, and it's a pretty simple setup. At the top, I have a habit tracker. Instead of writing Monday through Sunday, I just write the date to save myself a little bit of space, and these are the things that I track on a daily basis. I do an X if I complete the task, a dot if I have not done that task or I skipped that habit. I'm drawing a line below it, and then a running to-do list throughout the week. Where it looks a little bit complicated is what happens with all the lines here. So the lines are events typically. I use a circle for events, and once the event happens, I fill it in with ink so I know that it's passed, and I draw a line to that event because it helps me triangulate what the date of that event is much faster. So really that's the only purpose of the lines. Otherwise, for most of my tasks, I can soft schedule them. So for example, I need to transfer some of my income where the dot is, which is Friday the 21st. So this is a soft scheduled task. So I know I want to put this on my daily log when I set up for the 21st. Or I have completely unscheduled tasks. So for example, we're looking at getting tickets for an event and I have put no dot underneath that. So when I complete that task, I'll put an X under the day that I actually complete it. Or I can use this to track multiple day tasks. So for example, I'm trying to film a Daily Log Diaries episode, so I will cross off the days that I film so I can see which ones I have for footage. I didn't film yesterday and I intended to, so I'll leave that dot open as sort of like a skipped marker. This is how I marked my birthdays. I do a star for birthdays, so there are a lot of them this week, so I just did this to help them, stand out. And then if I want to know whose birthday it is, I will refer to my monthly calendar. And yeah, that's more or less how this is working, and I quite like it. The main pro for me is that I find with a monthly, a weekly, and a daily spread, it's hard for me to balance what goes on a weekly versus what goes on my daily. And I think I've explained this before, but I will rewrite tasks and sort of distill them down to my daily log. So anything on my weekly is going to get rewritten on a daily. And I like doing that, but I understand where some people might find that to be inefficient, but that replication helps me remember what the heck I'm doing, and it gives me a little bit of intention before I actually write it down to execute the task. But with this layout, the weekly is purely functional. I'm not worried about memory keeping in here. I'm not worried about making it cute. Maybe if I have a bunch of blank space at the bottom, I'll put a sticker or something. But last week I used up pretty much the entire spread. This week, I'm sure I will use these last 5 or 6 rows as well. And as of now, it's been enough space. If I need more room, I'll just flip the page and create a quick list or use a sticky note. We'll see. I'll hit that roadblock when I get there. Another thing I'm really liking about this is basically it goes on my monthly. I'm checking my monthly a lot more because I'm a visual person. So seeing this and referring to this page on a daily basis has felt a lot more functional than maybe in my Hobonichi weeks when I was using that planner, for example, because then I would rely on my weekly to sort of tell the picture of what happened, and my monthly was kind of a forgotten spread. This feels better to me for my monthly to sort of be like my first stop and the source of truth for events and things like that. My weekly is a landing page for what the heck I need to get done throughout the week, and it helps me pre-schedule or soft schedule things so I can pull from this and then set up my daily log on a day-by-day basis. So I do need to set up a weekly spread, and I'm gonna do just a couple different things. I think hopefully you can see this. So the very top row, I've got my week number, and then the row below that, I'm writing the actual date of the week. I wanna scrunch this up and just sort of share a row for that and take one less line up. That way I've got room for like one more task or event if I need it. And I'm just gonna find the next blank page and draw this out real quick. As always, I'm using my Pilot Vanishing Point in extra fine, inked with the Atramentis Archive ink, and I'm actually pulling out a Sakura Pigma fine liner as well in 005 to draw the straight lines, because I find I get less smudges this way. This weekly spread is surprisingly fast to set up. Actually, the hardest part is flipping back and forth between my monthlies to transfer over the events, tasks, and the tasks are a mix of things that are on that running to-do list on the right, along with just things that have been floating around in my brain that I've been waiting to get down onto paper. I really prefer to set up all of my weeklies for a month at the beginning of a month, so this was a little bit of a stretch for me to wait until a week out of needing a spread, but it worked out, and I guess this process has reaffirmed that I do in fact prefer to set up my weeklies at the beginning of a month. Moving into the weekend, I did a little side quest to a local coffee shop to get coffee and donuts. My husband's birthday was this weekend, so we had to kick Friday off with some donuts before we embarked on our weekend getaway, which means it's time to pack some stationery. I recently found out that these Daiso sticky notes fold up like this, and my mind is blown. But most of my stationery I tucked into this belt bag by Baggu. I can put the information in the description down below. But main things I brought were pens, my tape runner, my watercolor set, some Instax film because I brought our Polaroid camera out with us. Some of my go-to icons are in that little folder and a reusable sticker book. This doubled as my purse for the weekend, so my sunglasses are in here along with some hand sanitizer, and my cards I keep tucked into the back of my planner. And overall, I was really surprised at how much fit in here. It was a bit bulky. It did look a little bit silly when I was out and about, but we were spending the weekend at a cabin, and overall, very impressed. The vibes of this little cabin were immaculate. We got an Airbnb for the weekend so we could just have a nice chill time to ourselves, limited social media, and we really enjoyed roasting marshmallows over the fire pit most evenings. But by far, our favorite part of this weekend was waking up and having really slow mornings, sitting on the deck with this absolutely gorgeous view. I would journal while he would read his book, and I wish we started every morning this way. We got in a few hikes as well and enjoyed the views, and this is when I start to realize that maybe there's trouble in paradise with my pocket bullet journal. As much as I love this thing, I didn't get to draw or paint in it because the pages just don't handle watercolor well. So maybe a move to a Passport Traveler's notebook is imminent. I'll let you know next week, but thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you soon. For the record, I did move into my passport-sized bullet journal, so if you actually made it to the end, this won't be a jump scare in the next couple videos.